Okay, so I'm just going to go over a few tools of the trade here. So right here we've got the shear. Just demonstrate that for you real quick. This is a valuable tool. It's definitely not required, but it helps for cutting things a little quicker. So boom, you just set it up and make sure we're on here. This one has a back gauge actually too, where if you need to cut a certain length, you can line it up to the back gauge. Just like that. Shears it right off. So that's a handy tool. Let's turn that off. And over here we've got a regular bandsaw. You've probably seen one of these before, but it's nothing you can't do without a zip disc. Like, you could probably just use a cutting disc, but certainly handy. Makes things a little bit quicker sometimes, a little more accurate with your measurements. So see just how quickly that actually cuts through. That's a piece of 3/4 inch cold rolled steel right there. Cuts through it fairly quickly. This blade's not perfectly sharp, but still does the job, just like that. So bandsaw is pretty handy for that. Over here, got the plasma cutter. You'll probably see this in action on some of my other videos. Really super awesome for cutting out shapes. Pretty much whatever you want. You can cut circles. You can draw anything into the computer program. Basically, you come around here. It's got an air compressor and the actual plasma cutter, air dryer here. So you just control it with this. You basically draw it in. There's a Torchmate program here. You just use it with the table. Works great. You pretty much draw anything in on this program here. So if you need, shapes, stuff like that. Chop saw, always handy. Sort of replaces the bandsaw. Bandsaws are pretty expensive, so if you need a chop saw, I think pick this one up for like 60 bucks. Tiger torch. Super cool little thing. I love using the Tiger torch. It's handy for all kinds of stuff, especially for if you're doing like woodworking too. It's pretty cool because you can make all kinds of stuff. Crank that up a bit. There we go. Yeah, so you can see how powerful that thing is. Turn that bad boy off. What else? We got iron worker. This thing's cool. It's kind of, you can actually just use a saw or a cutting disc, but this is like super quick if you have to do a bunch of pieces. So like here I've got 1/2 inch square bar. There is actually a square hole for this, but I have this down too far to use it right now, so I'll just show you with this one. So basically pop it in there, sticking out the back there if you can see that, and give it a press. Chops it right off, no problem. Just show you from the front here. Chops it right off. This one is, I believe, 130 ton. Pretty sweet machine. You can actually cut up to 6 by 6 by half flat bar or 1 inch by 12 inch plate in here. And then this is for shearing smaller angles. It actually also has a punch, so if you're doing some punching, just set up your piece. There you go. And then it also has some brake press attachments up there, but yeah, can't do anything very long with it as far as brake press stuff, but got a welding table here. It's a real mess right now because, as you know, I've been working on this anvil. I've been using all kinds of stuff here, so nothing replaces grinders. Angle grinders are invaluable. You want to have as many of those as you can because you can have one set up with a grinding disc, one set up with a cutting disc, surface conditioning disc. These are awesome too for taking off paint or cleaning up metal. Yeah, there's all kinds of things you can use on a angle grinder, like wire brushes. I don't have any over here at the moment, but yeah, these are awesome. Electric die grinder. I prefer the air ones because they're a lot faster, but this one works pretty good. Like you can do some stuff with it. It's pretty cool. I got some letter punches here, punching letters into metal. Don't use them much, but it's always a good thing to have. And then here, a brake press. So this is for bending. This thing's awesome. You just fire it up. It's pretty old school. This thing's from the probably from the 1950s or something, 60s maybe. But works like a charm still. So you stick your piece of metal in there. Obviously, you'd mark it first, and then puts nice bends in it. So yeah, this machine's great. Set it up like this. You can do all kinds of bends. You can adjust it. Like if I wanted to go all the way to 90, set that up. Pretty close there. You can adjust it a little more. These are the old school buttons. Down, up. Basically it just causes this thing to turn. Got an orc up here just chilling. But yeah, it's pretty greasy. You gotta keep these things really well greased because it's a pretty old machine and it kind of prevents wear on it if you do that. Turn that off. Okay, and then here I've got a notcher. I'll show you this thing real quick. This thing's kind of cool. I'll just take that piece of stainless that I had before there, one that we were just bending. So you can mark it if you need to make notches. Boom. There you go, just like that. So sometimes I'll do this when I'm gonna do a bending job. If I have to make like a sort of a pan or something, just do those notches like that. It works great. Bring this piece with me so I can show you the roller after. Here I've got a couple of bench grinders. I rarely ever use them because to be honest, I prefer zip discs and grinding discs and stuff. The odd time I'll use a bench grinder. Here I've got a belt sander. It's covered in stuff right now. It's a real mess in here right now. Welding machines, obviously. TIG machine, little MIG machine. Got a bigger MIG machine over there, but yeah, some brake dies. Oxyacetylene torch set. This is handy to have if you need to do some cutting for really thick metal. And then over here is a roller. Yeah, I was going to bring that piece of stainless. Bring that over. So this roller here, this thing's pretty cool. Just put it through. And then you can go backwards. It's a power roll, so you don't have to hand crank it or anything. Basically, it's just got a foot pedal down here. I didn't get much of a roll on this because you have to actually bring these up and adjust them. So I'll just show you real quick. Okay, that should get a little bit of a roll on it. Oops, going backwards. There we go. So, but you can do full circles with that thing. It's great. Little plasma cutter, just replacing a part on this thing right now, but this is a handy little one for cutting out shapes out of thin metal like this. More angle grinders, as I was talking about, these things are awesome. You want to keep as many of these around as you can. Eventually the brushes do wear out, so you can either pay to replace the brushes, but it costs almost the same amount just to get a new angle grinder. You can sometimes pick these up for like 20 bucks. Over here, just got a bunch of random stuff out. I really have to clean this place up, but another anvil ready to go here. I'm gonna work on that eventually. Got a bunch of random armor pieces. Got a piece of brass and a piece of copper just to have around because they're super handy for doing accents and stuff. Another little shear here just for chopping sheet metal and stuff. Use the shears quite a bit. Pipe threader. It's one of those things where you kind of have to have one to thread pipe, so I guess you could use like a hand tap for like some smaller pipe, but handy to have threaders too. Yeah, what else? Basically, personally, I think the most handy things are like these flap discs. So there you go. You can take down material really fast. Like if you're making a knife or something, you can just go like this. Look at that. It's already like a knife edge almost. Things are super handy. I use them for almost everything. Yeah, and then just various hammers, things like that. But yeah, I'd say nothing really beats the hand grinders. You can almost make anything with these. Like you can cut sheet metal, you can cut bar stock, you can you know, take down material, do stock removal. So like if I'm making a sword or something, I'm mostly going to use these. I'm actually working on setting up a forge right now so that I can do some forging as well, but yeah, nothing really beats that kind of stuff. And another thing you'll probably want in your shop is an air compressor, because then you can run air tools and it's really handy. You can you know, run air tools off of it, run blowers off of it to clean off your work area, because I find with stuff like this, with like this anvil here, all the grinding, you can see all the metal dust. It's just everywhere, right? You can blow off your, like it's all over the floor. Look at how much is built up actually. So it's nice to be able to have air so you can blow this stuff off. And like you saw in my other video, this is that big anvil I was working on. Finished making that. I still have to heat treat it, which is why my next project is going to be a nice big coal forge table. So I'm going to do the coal forge first so that I can do my anvils in that, because they're a lot bigger. And then I'm going to move on to like a propane forge for like making knives and smaller stuff, maybe even swords. So going to do that eventually too. But yeah, just wanted to show you some of the tools of the trade for metal fabrication or whatever you're doing. They're really handy. I mean, a lot of them are super pricey, but you can pretty much do everything with something on an angle grinder. And maybe a chop saw, that's handy too. But yeah, use those angle grinders because you can accomplish most of the stuff that these big machines can do at like a fraction of the cost. These big machines are good if you're doing production work, if you're doing a lot of it, but you don't really need them. Some sort of a brake press is always good, so you can bend metal, bend sheet metal, stuff like that, but you don't really need it. You can make a small brake press, like a hand one, for just doing sheet metal, but yeah, just wanted to show you those. Thanks a lot. I almost forgot. One more super important thing to have is a drill press. I can't believe I forgot that. That's like, you gotta have one of these. Whether you get a cheap little benchtop drill press, they work great too, or a floor drill press. The benefit of these ones is that basically they can go down a lot lower. So if you have a big object, you can drill it. You can put like a one of these vices on there, So that's good to have too. Make sure you're wearing safety glasses if you're actually drilling, because you don't want shavings in your eyes. Some sort of drilling fluid or oil works great. You'll save yourself some drill bits if you use that. Yeah, so this is a floor drill press. You can probably pick up a used one of these for somewhere in the $150 to $200 range. Another thing you can get, which is a little more expensive, is a mag drill. I don't know where a mag drill is right now, but you can use these annular cutters on the mag drill. And then these are die grinder bits for like air powered die grinders, or that electric one that I have next door. But yeah, so drill press, definitely ideal for a shop. If you're doing any kind of metal fabrication, you want one of these. Make any size hole you want. This thing is kind of a beast. It's good for reaming out holes. Bit of a monster. It's quite heavy. I think this one's Milwaukee. But yeah, it's good for that. I don't really use it a lot, but you can use it sometimes. And again, thanks for watching, and please subscribe. Have a good day.